Section 8. Road conditions and vehicle handling.
In this section, you'll learn about how to drive safely in different weather conditions, driving at night,
Keeping control of your vehicle.
traffic calming measures and different road surfaces. Weather conditions.
As well as being aware of other road users,
You need to think about the conditions you're driving in,
and how they might affect your safety.
the weather,
The time of day,
hills, traffic calming, and different road surfaces can all change the way you need to drive.
The weather makes a big difference to how you drive and how your vehicle handles. Rain
And wet conditions.
When it's raining,
Or the road is
wet, leave at least double the normal stopping distance between you and the vehicle in front.
You're following a vehicle on a wet road.
You stay a safe distance behind it. What do you think you should do if a driver overtakes you and pulls into the gap you've left?
Select the correct answer. Flash your headlights as a warning.
Try to overtake
Safely, as soon as you can.
drop back,
To regain a safe distance, stay close to the other vehicle until it moves on.
Wet weather will affect the time it takes for you to stop,
and can affect your control.
Your speed should allow you to stop
Safely,
and in good time. If another vehicle pulls into the gap you've allowed,
ease back until you've regained
your stopping distance.
When there's been heavy rainfall, a ford is likely to flood and become difficult to cross.
There may be a depth gauge
To help you decide whether you should go through.
if you decide to cross it.
Use a low gear. Drive through slowly. Test your brakes afterwards.
Wet brakes are less effective.
Fog.
When visibility is seriously reduced, you must use headlights, and you may also use fog lights if you have them.
Remember to switch off your fog lights when conditions improve.
Never use front or rear fog lights unless visibility is seriously reduced because
they can dazzle other road users.
Road users behind you won't be able to see your brake lights clearly, so they may not react in time to stop safely. Road users behind you may mistake your fog lights for brake lights and slow unnecessarily.
It's hard to see what's happening ahead in foggy weather, so always keep your speed down. Increase your distance from the vehicle in front, in case it stops or slows suddenly.
Tip: always allow more time for your journey in bad weather.
When driving on motorways in fog,
Reflective studs help
you to see the road ahead.
Red studs
Mark the left-hand edge of the carriageway.
Amber studs
Mark the central reservation.
For more details, see Section 9,
Motorway driving.
What do you think you should do if you park on the road when it's
Foggy. Select the correct answer. Leave parking lights switched on. Leave dipped headlights and fog lights switched on. Leave dipped headlights switched on. Leave main beam headlights switched on.
If you have to park your vehicle in foggy conditions, try to find a place to park off the road. If this isn't possible, Park on the road facing in the same direction as the traffic.
Leave your parking lights switched on, and make sure they're clean. Very bad weather.
In very bad weather, such as heavy snow or thick fog, don't travel unless your journey is essential. If you must travel, take great care and allow plenty of time.
Before you start your journey, make sure your lights are working. Your windows are clean.
In deep snow, it's a good idea to fit snow chains to your wheels to help grip and prevent skidding.
When you're on the road, keep well back from the vehicle in front in case it stops suddenly.
In icy conditions, your stopping distance can be 10 times further than it would be in dry conditions.
Tip:
if it's very cold and the road looks wet, listen for noise from your tires. If they're making very little noise, suspect black ice. Keep your speed down and use the highest gear possible to reduce the risk of skidding.
Windy weather.
Windy weather can affect all vehicles, but high-sided vehicles, cyclists, motorcyclists and cars towing caravans are likely to be the worst affected. A sudden gust can blow them off course.
Look out for these vehicles, particularly when they're passing a large vehicle on a dual carriageway or motorway. Driving on exposed stretches of road. Passing gaps between buildings or hedges. Driving at night. When you're driving at night, you need to think about how clearly you can see and be seen, as well as how your lights might affect other road users.
Make sure that your headlights don't dazzle the vehicle you're following or any oncoming traffic. If you're dazzled by the headlights of an oncoming vehicle, slow down or stop if necessary.
Tip.
If you meet other road users at night, including cyclists and pedestrians, dip your headlights so that you don't dazzle them. When you overtake at night, you can't see a long way ahead and there may be bends in the road or other unseen hazards. On a motorway, use dipped headlights, even if the road is well lit.
Side lights if you've broken down and are parked on the hard shoulder. This will help other road users to see you.
Keeping control of your vehicle.
You need to have full control of your vehicle at all times.
Driving with the clutch down or in neutral for any length of time, called coasting, reduces your control of the car, especially steering and braking. This is particularly dangerous when you're traveling downhill, as your vehicle will speed up when there's no engine braking.
Definition. Engine braking. Using the engine's resistance to help slow the vehicle. You can use your vehicle's engine to help control your speed. For example, if you select a lower gear when you're driving down a steep hill, the engine will act as a brake.
This helps avoid your brakes overheating and becoming less.
If you take your foot off the accelerator to reduce speed, you'll slow down sooner than usual.
Changing down to a lower gear will help prevent the engine struggling as it delivers the power needed to climb the hill. On single-track roads, be aware of the limited space available. If you see a vehicle coming towards you, pull into, or opposite, a passing place.
Always adjust your driving to suit the road and weather conditions. Your stopping distance will be affected by several factors, including your speed, the condition of your tires, the road surface, the weather.
In wet or icy conditions, try to avoid skidding. It can be hard to get your car back under control once you've started skidding.
If you don't have anti-lock brakes and your vehicle begins to skid when you're braking on a wet road, release the foot brake. If the rear wheels begin to skid, steer into the skid by turning the steering wheel in the same direction.
On single-track roads, be aware of the limited space available. If you see a vehicle coming towards you, pull into, or opposite, a passing place.
Always adjust your driving to suit the road and weather conditions. Your stopping distance will be affected by several factors, including your speed, the condition of your tires, the road surface, the weather.
In wet or icy conditions, try to avoid skidding. It can be hard to get your car back under control once you've started skidding.
If you don't have anti-lock brakes and your vehicle begins to skid when you're braking on a wet road, release the foot brake. If the rear wheels begin to skid, steer into the skid by turning the steering wheel in the same direction. Traffic calming and road surfaces.
Traffic calming is used to slow traffic and make the roads safer for vulnerable road users, especially pedestrians. One of the most common measures is road humps, sometimes called speed humps. Make sure that you stay within the speed limit and don't overtake other moving vehicles within traffic-calmed areas. Rumble devices, raised markings across the road, may be used to warn you of a hazard, such as a roundabout, and to encourage you to reduce your speed. In cities where trams operate, the areas used by the trams may have a different surface texture or color, which may be edged with white line markings. Tip: if it rains after a long, dry hot spell, the road surface can become unusually slippery. Loose chippings can also increase the risk of skidding, so slow down and be aware of the increased skid risk in these conditions. Meeting the standards.
You must be able to use the accelerator smoothly to reach and keep to a suitable speed.
Change gear smoothly and in good time. Coordinate the use of gears with braking and acceleration. Steer the vehicle safely and responsibly in all road and traffic conditions.
You must know and understand why it's best not to over-rev your engine when moving away and while stationary. The benefits of changing gear at the right time when going up and down hills. That different vehicles may have different numbers of gears with different ratios. How to keep control of the steering wheel. Think about:
by how much must visibility be reduced before you can use fog lights? Why must you make sure that your fog lights are turned off when visibility improves again?
In which weather conditions should you increase the distance between your vehicle and the one in front?
Which road users are most likely to be affected by very windy weather?
When can you use engine braking, and why is it a good idea? What are rumble devices used for? Things to discuss and practice with your instructor. These are just a few examples of what you could discuss and practice with your instructor.
Read more about road conditions and vehicle handling to come up with your own ideas.
Discuss with your instructor your stopping distances in different weather conditions.
When you may use your front fog lights.
The purpose of speed humps and how you should behave on the roads where they're found. Practice with your instructor. Going out at night to get used to driving with reduced visibility. Using your brakes in heavy rain.
Your gear selection and clutch control while driving downhill. When may you wait in a box junction?
When you're stationary in a queue of traffic, when approaching a pelican crossing, when approaching a zebra crossing, when oncoming traffic prevents you turning right.
The purpose of a box junction is to keep the junction clear by preventing vehicles from stopping in the path of crossing traffic. You mustn't enter a box junction unless your exit is clear. However, you may enter the box and wait if you want to turn right, and are only prevented from doing so by oncoming traffic.
You've been driving in fog. What must you do when the visibility improves?
Switch off your fog lights. Keep your rear fog lights switched on. Keep your front fog lights switched on.
Leave your fog lights switched on in case the fog returns.
You must turn off your fog lights if visibility is more than 100 meters, 328 feet. Be prepared for the fact that the fog may be patchy and you may need to turn them on again if the fog returns.
What will happen if you hold the clutch pedal down or roll in neutral for too long? It will use more fuel, it will cause the engine to overheat, it will reduce your control, it will improve tire wear.
Holding the clutch down or staying in neutral for too long will cause your vehicle to freewheel. This is known as coasting and it's dangerous because it reduces your control of the vehicle.
What will happen if you use rear fog lights in good conditions?
They'll make it safer when towing a trailer, they'll protect you from larger vehicles, they'll dazzle other drivers, they'll make drivers behind keep back.
Rear fog lights shine more brightly than normal rear lights, so that they show up in reduced visibility. When the visibility improves, you must switch them off. This stops them dazzling the driver behind.
Why should you test your brakes after this hazard? You'll be on a slippery road, your brakes will be wet, you'll be going down a long hill, you'll have just crossed a long bridge.
A ford is a crossing over a stream that's shallow enough to drive or ride through. After you've gone through a ford or deep puddle, your brakes will be wet and they won't work as well as usual. To dry them out, apply a light brake pressure while moving slowly. Don't travel at normal speeds until you're sure your brakes are working properly again.
Which lights should you switch on when daytime visibility is poor but not seriously reduced? Headlights and fog lights, front fog lights, dipped headlights, rear fog lights.
Only use your fog lights when visibility is seriously reduced. Use dipped headlights in poor conditions because this helps other road users to see you without the risk of causing dazzle.
When may front fog lights be used?
When visibility is seriously reduced, when they're fitted above the bumper, when they aren't as bright as the headlights, when an audible warning device is used.
Your fog lights must only be used when visibility is reduced to 100 meters, 328 feet, or less. You need to be familiar with the layout of your dashboard so you're aware if your fog lights have been switched on in error, or you've forgotten to switch them off.
What should you check before you start a journey in foggy weather?
The radiator has enough antifreeze, you have a warning triangle in the vehicle, the windows and lights are clean and clear, you have a mobile phone with you.
If you have to drive in fog, switch your dipped headlights on and keep all your windows clear. You should always be able to pull up within the distance you can see ahead.
There's been a heavy fall of snow.
What should you consider before driving in these conditions?
Whether you should fit an amber flashing beacon to your car, whether you should drive without wearing your seat belt, whether you should wear sunglasses to reduce the glare, whether your journey is essential.
Consider whether the increased risk is worth it. If the weather conditions are bad and your journey isn't essential, then don't drive. If you have to drive, make sure you're well prepared in case you get stuck.
The road is wet.
Why would a motorcyclist steer around drain covers while they were cornering?
To avoid puncturing the tires on the edge of the drain covers.
To prevent the motorcycle sliding on the metal drain covers.
To help judge the bend using the drain covers as marker points. To avoid splashing pedestrians on the pavement.
Other drivers or riders may have to change course due to the size or characteristics of their vehicle. Understanding this will help you to anticipate their actions. Motorcyclists and cyclists will be checking the road ahead for uneven or slippery surfaces, especially in wet weather. They may need to move across their lane to avoid surface hazards, such as potholes and drain covers.
Why is it bad technique to coast when you're driving downhill?
The fuel consumption will increase, the engine will overheat, the tires will wear more quickly, the vehicle will gain speed more quickly.
Coasting is when you allow the vehicle to freewheel in neutral or with the clutch pedal depressed. When traveling downhill, this will cause the vehicle to gain speed more quickly as you lose the benefits of engine braking. It may even lead to a loss of control. You shouldn't coast, especially when approaching hazards such as junctions or bends and when traveling downhill.
What's a rumble device designed to do? Give directions, prevent cattle escaping, alert you to low tire pressure, alert you to a hazard.
A rumble device consists of raised markings or strips, designed to give drivers an audible, visual and tactile warning. These devices are used in various locations, including in the line separating the hard shoulder and the left-hand lane on the motorway and on the approach to some hazards, to alert drivers to the need to slow down.
What's the purpose of the yellow lines painted across the road? To show a safe distance between vehicles,
To keep the area clear of traffic,
to make you aware of your speed, to warn you to change direction.
These lines may be painted on the road on the approach to a roundabout, a village or a particular hazard. The lines are raised and painted yellow, and their purpose is to make you aware of your speed. Reduce your speed in good time so that you avoid having to brake harshly over the last few meters before reaching the junction.
How can you use your vehicle's engine to control your speed? By changing to a lower gear, by selecting reverse gear, by changing to a higher gear, by selecting neutral.
You should brake and slow down before selecting a lower gear. The gear can then be used to keep the speed low and help you control the vehicle.
When must you use dipped headlights during the day? All the time you're driving, when you're driving along narrow streets, when you're driving in poor visibility, when you're parking.
You must use dipped headlights when daytime visibility is seriously reduced, generally to 100 meters, 328 feet, or less. You may also use front or rear fog lights, but they must be switched off when visibility improves.
What should you do when you're overtaking at night?
Wait until a bend so that you can see oncoming headlights.
Sound your horn twice before moving out. Go past slowly so that you can react to unseen hazards. Beware of bends in the road ahead.
Don't overtake if there's a possibility of a road junction, bend or brow of a bridge or hill ahead. There are many hazards that are difficult to see in the dark. Only overtake if you're certain that the road ahead is clear. Don't take a chance.
When may you overtake another vehicle on their left? When you're in a one-way street.
When approaching a motorway slip road where you'll be turning off.
When the vehicle in front is signaling to turn left.
When a slower vehicle is traveling in the right-hand lane of a dual carriageway.
You may pass slower vehicles on their left while traveling along a one-way street. Be aware of drivers who may need to change lanes and may not expect faster traffic passing on their left.
Why should you reduce your speed when you're driving or riding in fog? The brakes don't work as well, you'll be dazzled by other headlights, the engine will take longer to warm up, it's more difficult to see what's ahead.
You won't be able to see as far ahead in fog as you can on a clear day. You'll need to reduce your speed so that, if a hazard looms out of the fog, you have the time and space to take avoiding action.
Why is traveling in neutral for long distances, known as coasting, bad driving technique?
It will cause the car to skid, it will make the engine stall, the engine will run faster, there won't be any engine braking.
Try to look and plan well ahead. Plan your approach to hazards and select the correct gear in good time. This will help give you the control you need to deal with anything unexpected that may occur.
What must you do when you're overtaking a car at night?
Flash your headlights before overtaking.
Select a higher gear, switch your headlights to main beam before overtaking. Make sure you don't dazzle other road users.
To prevent your headlights from dazzling the driver of the car in front, wait until you've passed them before switching to main beam.
Which plate may appear with this road sign?
Road humps are used to slow down traffic. They're found in places where there are often pedestrians, such as shopping areas, near schools, residential areas. Watch out for people close to the curb or crossing the road.
Why is it dangerous to leave rear fog lights switched on after the fog has cleared?
They may be confused with brake lights, the bulbs would fail, electrical systems could be overloaded. Direction indicators may not work properly.
If your rear fog lights are left on when it isn't foggy, the glare they cause makes it difficult for road users behind to know whether you're braking or you've just forgotten to turn off your rear fog lights. This can be a particular problem on wet roads and on motorways. If you leave your rear fog lights on at night, road users behind you are likely to be dazzled and this could put them at risk.
Why would you fit chains to your wheels? To help prevent damage to the road surface, to help prevent wear to the tires, to help prevent skidding in deep snow, to help prevent the brakes locking.
Chains can be fitted to your wheels in snowy conditions. They can help you to move off without wheel spin, or to keep moving in deep snow. You'll still need to adjust your driving to suit these conditions.
What should you do if you have to make a journey in foggy conditions? Follow other vehicles' tail lights closely, avoid using dipped headlights, leave plenty of time for your journey, keep 2 seconds behind the vehicle ahead.
If you're planning to make a journey when it's foggy, listen to the weather reports. If visibility is very poor, avoid making unnecessary journeys. If you do travel, leave plenty of time, and if someone is waiting for you to arrive, let them know that your journey will take longer than normal. This will also take off any pressure you may feel to rush.
What should you do when you meet an oncoming vehicle on a single-track road?
Reverse back to the main road, carry out an emergency stop, stop at a passing place, switch on your hazard warning lights.
Take care when using single-track roads. It can be difficult to see around bends, because of hedges or fences, so expect to meet oncoming vehicles. Drive carefully and be ready to pull into or stop opposite a passing place, where you can pass each other safely.
You're driving at night. What should you do if you're dazzled by headlights coming towards you? Pull down your sun visor, slow down or stop, flash your main beam headlights, shade your eyes with your hand.
If the headlights of an oncoming vehicle dazzle you, slow down or, if necessary, stop. Don't close your eyes or swerve, as you'll increase your chances of having a collision. Don't flash your headlights either, as this could dazzle other drivers and make the situation worse.
What's the reason for traffic calming measures?
To stop road rage, to make overtaking easier, to slow traffic down, to make parking easier.
Traffic calming measures make the roads safer for vulnerable road users, such as cyclists, pedestrians and children. These can be designed as chicanes, road humps or other obstacles that encourage drivers and riders to slow down.
What will affect your vehicle's stopping distance?
The speed limit, the street lighting, the time of day, the condition of the tires.
Having tires correctly inflated and in good condition will ensure they have maximum grip on the road. How well your tires grip the road has a significant effect on your car's stopping distance.
You're driving in fog. Why should you keep well back from the vehicle in front? In case it changes direction suddenly, in case its fog lights dazzle you, in case it stops suddenly,
in case its brake lights dazzle you.
If you're following another road user in fog, stay well back. The driver in front won't be able to see hazards until they're close and might need to brake suddenly. Also, the road surface is likely to be wet and could be slippery.
When will you feel the effects of engine braking?
When you only use the parking brake, when you're in neutral, when you change to a lower gear, when you change to a higher gear.
When you take your foot off the accelerator, engines have a natural resistance to turn, caused mainly by the cylinder compression. Changing to a lower gear requires the engine to turn faster, and so it will have greater resistance than when it's made to turn more slowly. When going downhill, changing to a lower gear will therefore help to keep the vehicle's speed in check.
What should you do when dealing with this hazard? Switch on your hazard warning lights. Use a low gear and drive slowly. Use a high gear to prevent wheel spin. Switch on your windscreen wipers.
In normal conditions, a ford can be crossed quite safely by driving through it slowly. The water may affect your brakes, so when you're clear of the ford, test them before you resume normal driving.
You're traveling in very heavy rain.
How is this likely to affect your overall stopping distance?
It will be doubled. It will be halved. It will be 10 times greater. It will be no different.
The road will be very wet, and spray from other vehicles will reduce your visibility. Tire grip will also be reduced, increasing your stopping distance. You should at least double your separation distance to make sure you can stop safely in the space you've allowed.
You're driving on an icy road. What distance from the car in front should you drive? 4 times the normal distance, 6 times the normal distance, 8 times the normal distance, 10 times the normal distance.
Don't travel in icy or snowy weather unless your journey is essential. Drive extremely carefully when roads are or may be icy. Stopping distances can be 10 times greater than on dry roads.
Why could it be dangerous to keep the clutch down, or select neutral, for long periods of time while you're driving? Fuel spillage will occur. Engine damage may be caused. You'll have less steering and braking control. It will wear tires out more quickly.
Letting your vehicle roll or coast in neutral reduces your control over steering and braking. This can be dangerous on downhill slopes, where your vehicle could pick up speed very quickly.
Why are vehicles fitted with rear fog lights?
To make them more visible when driving at high speed, to show when they've broken down in a dangerous position, to make them more visible in thick fog, to warn drivers following closely to drop back.
Rear fog lights make it easier to spot a vehicle ahead in foggy conditions. Avoid the temptation to use other vehicles' lights as a guide, as they may give you a false sense of security.
You're driving on the motorway in windy conditions. What should you do as you overtake a high-sided vehicle? Increase your speed, be wary of a sudden gust, drive alongside very closely, expect normal conditions.
The draft caused by other vehicles, particularly those with high sides, could be strong enough to push you out of your lane. Be prepared for a sudden gust of wind as you overtake large vehicles. Keep both hands on the steering wheel to help you keep full control.
Why should you switch off your rear fog lights when the fog has cleared?
To allow your headlights to work, to stop draining the battery, to stop the engine losing power, to prevent dazzling drivers behind.
Don't forget to switch off your fog lights when the weather improves. You could be prosecuted for driving with them on in good visibility. The high intensity of rear fog lights can dazzle drivers behind and make your brake lights difficult to notice.
You're driving on a motorway at night. Which lights should you have on if there are other vehicles just ahead of you?
Front fog lights,
Main beam headlights, side lights only,
dipped headlights.
If you're driving behind other traffic on the motorway at night, use dipped headlights. Main beam headlights will dazzle the other drivers. Your headlight's dipped beam should fall short of the vehicle in front.
What should you do when you're driving along a road that has a series of road humps? Brake firmly when you reach each road hump. Vary your speed between each road hump. Stay at a reduced speed for the whole stretch of road. Set your car's cruise control.
Traffic calming measures are designed to protect vulnerable road users. Keep your speed down where traffic calming measures are in place.
You're traveling on a road that has road humps. What should you do when the driver in front is traveling more slowly than you? Sound your horn. Overtake as soon as you can. Flash your headlights.
Slow down and stay behind.
Be patient and stay behind the car in front. You shouldn't normally overtake other vehicles in areas subject to traffic calming. If you overtake here, you may easily exceed the speed limit, defeating the purpose of the traffic calming measures.
What will happen to your car when you drive up a steep hill? The high gears will pull better. The steering will feel heavier. Overtaking will be easier. The engine will work harder.
The engine will need more power to pull the vehicle up the hill. When approaching a steep hill, you should select a lower gear to help maintain your speed. You should do this without hesitation, so that you don't lose too much speed before engaging the lower gear.
What color are the reflective studs along the left-hand edge of the motorway? Green,
Amber,
red,
white.
Reflective studs are used to help you in poor visibility. Different colors are used so that you'll know which lane you're in. These are red on the left-hand edge of the carriageway, white between lanes, amber on the right-hand edge of the carriageway, green between the carriageway and slip roads.
Which lights must you use if you're driving on a well-lit motorway at night? Use only your side lights. Use your headlights.
Use rear fog lights. Use front fog lights.
If you're driving on a motorway at night or in poor visibility, you must always use your headlights, even if the road is well lit. Other road users must be able to see you, but you should avoid causing dazzle.
What should you do if you park on the road when it's foggy?
Leave parking lights switched on. Leave dipped headlights and fog lights switched on. Leave dipped headlights switched on. Leave main beam headlights switched on.
If you have to park your vehicle in foggy conditions, try to find a place to park off the road. If this isn't possible, park on the road facing in the same direction as the traffic. Leave your parking lights switched on and make sure they're clean.
You're driving with your front fog lights switched on.
What should you do if the fog has cleared? Leave them on if other drivers have their lights on. Switch them off as long as visibility remains good.
Flash them to warn oncoming traffic that it's foggy.
Drive with them on instead of your headlights.
Switch off your fog lights if the weather improves, but be prepared to use them again if visibility reduces to less than 100 meters, 328 feet.
What's a rumble device designed to do? Give directions, prevent cattle escaping, alert you to low tire pressure, alert you to a hazard.
A rumble device consists of raised markings or strips, designed to give drivers an audible, Visual and tactile warning.
What should you do when you're overtaking at night?
Wait until a bend so.
When may you overtake another vehicle on their left? When you're in a one-way street.
When approaching a.
Which plate may appear with this road sign? You're driving at night. What should you do if you're dazzled by headlights coming towards you? Pull down your.
What's the reason for traffic calming measures?
To stop road rage.
What will affect your vehicle's stopping distance?
The speed limit, the street lighting, the time of day, the condition of the tires.
Having.
You're driving in fog. Why should you keep well back from the vehicle in front? In case it changes direction suddenly. In case its fog lights down.
When will you feel the effects of engine braking?
When you only use the parking brake. When you're